Hello everyone, welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news of another special town hall on the proposed casino Wednesday evening. We'll have news about the U.S. Navy sailing in the South China Sea, today's KZGN Talking Points editorial, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Well, Wednesday evening there will yet be another town hall hosted by the City Council to take comments on the proposed Indian Casino. The meeting is scheduled to run from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and then stop. This will be the fourth meeting for this issue. At last week's meeting, there were still quite a few people wanting to ask questions and make comments when the topic was cut off to be discussed at a later date. Well, Wednesday is the later date. This will probably be the last town hall on the subject. Last week's meeting had a full house, and as I surveyed the audience, I have to guess the supporters and opponents are just about equally split. Most supporters cite the need for things to do in the city, the financial gain of the city in both direct revenue and additional jobs. Supporters also cite the need to diversify the employment base here. This proposed casino would open as the city's second largest employer. The opponents base most of their opposition in two areas. First, challenging the project's business analysis, and then also on moral grounds. There have only been a couple of concerns about the location. The developer has looked at other locations within the city. All were eliminated for one reason or another. And the developer has said that if this location is not approved, then they would continue with the project only out in the county area, thereby costing the city a lot of the revenue it would provide. Even the Navy has weighed in as basically neutral. On the issue, it's neutral both on the project and its location. No one from the base has issued a statement opposing the project or its location. However, they have provided comment that if the project goes forward at the proposed location, the developer should take into consideration the potential for some noise from jets flying overhead. Of course, it was brought out that there are just two hotels just about another half mile south of the proposed location, and there have been no problems voiced with the jets flying overhead. Supporters said the city needs to stop running off every new project that comes to the city. The no-growth people do not want an expansion of the city or new business. The water issue came up, of course. However, any business has the right to propose and start a business, as long as all building codes and requirements are followed. The addressing of water is part of that process. Unless there is a total building moratorium, you can't use water to deny one new project and then okay a different project. That is not constitutional. Anyway, I expect that after this Wednesday town hall, the issue will be brought to the next council meeting on May 18th. And I expect that the council will vote on the project then. So if you want to provide comments, pro or con, now is the time to do so. Be at the meeting Wednesday evening. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. Well, in election news, Tuesday we have two primaries. Nebraska and West Virginia are voting today. And in case you don't know it, the candidates in both parties still have to get the required minimum amount of delegates to be the party nominee. Even though Trump is now alone in the race, the elections have to continue all the way to the end. For the Democrats, Sanders still thinks he can upset Clinton's run. The big one today will be West Virginia for them. It will be interesting to see how the people vote in West Virginia after Clinton said strongly in a speech that she plans on closing every coal mine in the country. West Virginia lives off their coal mine industry. When Clinton ran against Obama, she won West Virginia. She now is at the big risk of losing the state to Sanders. The delegates at stake are for the Republicans. There are 36 available in Nebraska and 34 available in West Virginia. The current delegate count has Trump with 1,068 delegates. For the Democrats, their only voting is in West Virginia. There are 37 available in West Virginia. Next Tuesday, there will be elections in Kentucky and Oregon for the Democrats. The Republicans will only be voting in Oregon. Again, the actual nominees will probably be chosen by us in California. So if you haven't registered to vote yet, do it now. You're almost out of time. We vote here in California on June 7th. That's just 4 weeks away. And oh, I heard one person say they don't register to vote because they don't want to get called for jury duty. Newsflash, the jury pool is pulled from driver's license registrations, not voter registrations. So do it. Get registered to vote now. I don't know how many of you know it, but China has been expanding their country's footprint in the South China Sea. This is China trying to expand its control of territory against international law. Well, Reuters is reporting that yesterday China scrambled fighter jets as a U.S. Navy ship sailed close to a disputed reef in the South China Sea. China denounced this move as an illegal threat to peace, which only went to show its defense installations in the area were necessary. The guided missile destroyer USS William Lawrence traveled within 12 nautical miles of Chinese-occupied Fiery Cross Reef. U.S. Department Defense spokesman Bill Urban said, the so-called Freedom of Navigation operation was undertaken to challenge excessive maritime claims by China, Taiwan, and Vietnam, which were seeking to restrict navigational rights in the South China Sea, Urban said. These excessive maritime claims are inconsistent with international law as reflected in the Law of the Sea Convention in that they were purported to restrict the navigational rights that the United States and all states are entitled to exercise. China and the United States have traded accusations of militarizing the South China Sea as China undertakes large-scale land reclamations and construction on disputed features, while the United States has increased its patrols and exercises. Facilities on Fiery Cross Reef include a 10,000-foot runway, which the United States worries China will use it to press its extensive territorial claims at the expense of weaker rivals. China's defense ministry said 2 fighter jets were scrambled and 3 warships shadowed the U.S. ship, telling it to leave. Foreign Ministry spokesman Liu Kang said the U.S. ship illegally entered Chinese waters. This action by the U.S. side threatened China's sovereignty and security interest. It endangered the staff and facilities on the reef and damaged regional peace and stability, he told a daily news briefing. China claims most of the South China Sea, through which $5 trillion in shipborne trade passes every year. The Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Brunei have overlapping claims. The Pentagon last month called on China to reaffirm it has no plans to deploy military aircraft in the Spratly Islands after China used a military plane to evacuate sick workers from Fiery Cross. Fiery Cross is sensitive because it is presumed to be the future hub of Chinese military operations in the South China Sea, given its already extensive infrastructure, including its large and deep port and 10,000-foot runway. China has reacted with anger to previous U.S. freedom of navigation operations, including the overflight of fighter planes near the disputed Scarborough Shoal last month, and when long-range U.S. bombers flew near Chinese facilities under construction on Khartoum Reef in the Spratlys last November. U.S. Navy officials believe China has plans to start reclamation and construction activities on Scarborough Shoal. It sits further north of the Spratlys within the Philippines' claimed 200 nautical mile exclusion economic zone. Now stay with us. After the break, we'll have a KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Thanks for staying with us. Now it's time for the 142nd KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Here's today's topic. No one is doing anything to stop the sheriff from closing the jail in Ridgecrest, putting all of our lives at risk. Well, this is a tough one. In case you don't know it yet, Sheriff Youngblood is still proceeding in closing the local jail here in Ridgecrest. This decision is going to put all of our lives at risk. His decision effectively will remove officers from our streets almost daily, while they'll have to travel to Mojave or Bakersfield to book prisoners starting July 1st. And we are the only city in Kern County being hit by decisions that will affect our lives. It appears the City Council, Mayor, and Supervisor Gleason are doing nothing to stop this outrageous. Here are my comments at last Wednesday's City Council meeting. Tom Wicknick, address on file. Thank you for the budget thing, because you brought, I'm going to segue right into my comments tonight. And that is, in summary, so we lost, when RDA went away, we lost $1.3 million in increment funding. while we were getting that $1.3 million, we were also paying about $250,000 a year for sheriff services, mostly prisoner transports, jail, etc. And now, I want to remind, 2 months ago, we had a town hall with just about this many people, with Donnie Youngblood, Sheriff Youngblood, sitting right here, telling us about closing the jail. And that's still going to happen, as far as I know. Am I understanding that correctly? I see one yes over there. Yes. Okay. I'm still outraged over that. That is putting our lives at risk in this town by taking police officers off the street when they're transporting prisoners. And what I'm surprised about is that I'm not going to ask you individually because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I would hope that each one of you individually have talked to Sheriff Youngblood, letting him know your displeasure with this decision. Because now our chief of police is reacting and he's making plans to make sure that we're taken care of in that area. And we just had it up there. It's going to cost them at least $200,000 a year, plus a $120,000 expenditure. And I think it's going to go over that when they start transporting more and more prisoners on a regular basis. I remember the statistic was they arrest over 1,000 people per year. And simple math, 365 days a year, that's about 3 people a day being arrested. And all those prisoners are either going to be transported or cited and released, put back on our streets without being taken into custody. Everybody here should be aware of that. And I think a lot of people are. And a lot of people are still outraged about that. And we want to see outrage out of you. There should be headlines that the city council is taking the sheriff to task. I like Sheriff Youngblood, and I've liked him for years. But I take exception to this decision. We're the only city being affected by these budget cuts, by losing officers. There's not one other city in Kern County being affected the way we are. And now we hear that we have the lowest percentage of distribution for property taxes. So we lose $1.3 million. We were paying for sheriff services, and now our public safety is coming to a problem. We should not be the lowest percentage. Something should be done about that. Our supervisor, Mick Gleason, I like him too. But doggone it, step up. Let's get after this. This is nonsense that we have to put up with this. Again, not one city is being affected like we are. Not one. It's not right. And I would like to see a headline in the Daily Independent. City Council takes sheriff to task over this. Enough being nice. The number one core value or a core services he put in that presentation was core service, and that should be police and our public safety. Anybody agree with that? It's time we stop being nice. It's time we don't accept being the lowest funded out of distribution of funds. We need to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
So those were my comments at last week's council meeting. I say to everyone, while the casino issue is important right now, this issue with the jail closing is even more important. Our council needs to be able to handle more than one important issue at a time. Even after my comments and the entire audience applauding my concern, not one council person made a comment in reaction to my comments. Not one council person shared publicly in my displeasure with the sheriff's decision. Not one comment from them. Why? Why are they silent? Is putting our lives at risk okay with them? Are they so afraid of the county that they are not willing to criticize them? Have they accepted there is nothing they can do, so why fight? Are they afraid to fight the county? Don't they see the anger being expressed in the presidential campaigns? There are millions of people mad at our representatives for not fighting for issues that affect us, or that we see that are extremely important. There is still time to stop this nonsense, but our council, mayor, and supervisor have to step up and do it. They are the ones that we elected to fight for our safety, to make sure we have police officers on the street to protect and serve. While Chief Strand is making plans to deal with this cut in service, it will still cost us money from an already tight budget. And the plan will not always keep a full force on the street. Will we survive this cut? We'd be forced to. But we don't have to put up with being the stepchild city of Kern County. In conclusion, if you think, as I, that our council, mayor, and supervisor should be doing more to stop this decision of the sheriff, let them know. Tell them that our safety is not something to be just brushed aside as unimportant. Tell them to fight to keep the jail open in Ridgecrest. Silence is not appropriate or acceptable. I'm Tom Whitnick, and that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. If you have any comments about this editorial or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Thanks for staying with us. Now here's Lane with the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, strong to severe thunderstorms are possible across the southern and central Great Plains, and heavy rainfall is expected over the lower and mid-Mississippi Valley through Tuesday. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas at 71, Georgia at 78, Arkansas at 81, northern Texas at 88, Arizona at 82, and Los Angeles at 63. And for us locally, tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 58, west-southwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 15. Wednesday, sunny with a high near 90, east wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low around 58, north-northwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday, sunny with a high near 90, north-northwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low around 58, northeast wind, 5 miles per hour. Friday, sunny with a high near 93, north-northwest wind, 5 miles per hour. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 58, west-southwest wind, 10 miles per hour. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 88, south-southwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
So that's the news for today. Also, KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk, coming up next.